Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed during this program do not necessarily represent those of the FloBro Show. The claims made by Dustin.
Just stop being so sensitive.
Thank you for tuning into the FloBro Show, presented by FLOrigins.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the FloBro Show. Myself here, I am your Florida guy, also known as Aaron. To my left, you have Blake, also known as natural-born filmmaker. And to my right is JD, also known as FLOrigins. Thank you for tuning in.
You got your no drama for the llama, for your mama drama?
That's what this is?
I think so. I think it says something on the inside of it.
I'm holding it the wrong way. Save the drama for your llama.
So it looks like Matt the Welder is traveling the state. What's he doing? He's just traveling the state.
Yeah.
I think that's what everybody asks.
He's just driving around.
Well, he went down and did something with Python Cowboy. Did some Python wrestling and capturing with him. He got some content with him, and I think he was going over to the East Coast. There's 2 state parks down near Fort Lauderdale or whatever that they're trying to develop. He was down there. Yeah. He's kind of like going around, I think, and getting content and talking how Ronnie Boy is up.
Yeah.
Well, I saw he was like at Okeechobee too.
Yeah.
He's going all over.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He just like, I'm down here at Lake Okeechobee, and he just had the camera going. I'm like, what the heck? And like he gets all over the place.
There's no way that Ron DeSantis is going to. There's no way people are going to let this go. I mean,
the thing that happened was like this whole thing with the FDEP and the state parks and the want to build golf courses and pickleball courts and whatever. Like during that global thing that happened, everybody remembers it back in 2020. Florida had a huge economic boom because of people moving here, tourism. Everybody wanted to come to Florida and get away from the lockdowns and all that. And I think he switched gears to like tourism. And I think that's what really kind of got going for him. And I think he thought, instead of thinking like state parks, he's like, not enough people are going to these state parks. How can we get more people to go to the state parks? And I think he thought like, well, we'll put some amenities in these state parks, thinking like, great idea. We'll get more people going to state parks or whatever, not realizing the backlash that would cause with, environmental people and people who actually care about the state of Florida.
Right.
And how a lot of people here don't care about the tourism side of things, like the Mouse House and all that kind of stuff. To me, like that's not even Florida as far as I'm concerned. When you think about the old Mouse Castle up there, like I don't think of that as Florida. I think of that as its own little world. I mean, that's named after its own little world, but you know what I mean? But I don't know. I think that's kind of what he got caught up in was he got so like, wow, the economy's doing great here. We're booming. We're making money. People are moving here. Tourism's great. How can we get tourism? What can we do? And it's kind of like, it's probably seemed like a great idea in his head or like to the people around him. And then he's like, hey guys, what do you think of this? And then the whole state of Florida's like,
I don't think so.
No. So
you're an idiot.
Well, I spent a lot of time in state parks camping over the years and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff at state parks that can be upgraded without, so the money that they're going to spend in these amenities, which is really just for boomers and people throwing frisbees around, and someone wants to hit the ball and go chase it, they have other amenities at these state parks that can be upgraded, like the paths, the campsites, I know at Hillsborough River State Park, there's several things there, like the pool, the clubhouse area where you check in, and like there's all kinds of stuff that money could be used towards other things other than putting a disc golf thing, for people to throw a frisbee around. Like you can upgrade the playground equipment. There's so much stuff that could be done at these state parks with the money that they're wanting to use for what they're opting it out to be.
Well, to me, like the funniest thing too is that when you think of the least environmental thing that we have in Florida, a golf course is like top of the list. Like even if you dropped a golf course in the middle of like the Everglades where it's all sawgrass and alligators and natural Florida, it's like, sure, it seems like you're just putting grass in the middle of grass, but like the amount of stuff you got to put on this, like the water, the amount of water, the chemicals, the fertilizers, all the stuff to make golf courses look like what they look like is nothing natural. And like the runoff from that golf course, I don't care how natural the area around it is, that golf course is going to affect the entire ecosystem and wherever they put it.
And you got to hire people to maintain it.
Yeah.
Like Mayaca River State Park, when we had that hurricane and then they opened up the dam, some of the water went south and it flooded a lot of Mayaca River State Park. There are even amenities there, like the cabins. You can add more cabins. You can upgrade.
Right.
You can add more camping spots for RVs. You can upgrade the showers that have been built in the 70s that have old tiles on the wall. Like there's so much other things the state could have done with money to upgrade what's already existing instead of trying to brainstorm to bring snowbirds in is essentially what it is.
Well, what they did here in Manatee County, like with Jigs Landing over there, off State Road 70 over there, is they found a park that I think it was privately owned or it wasn't maintained very well, and they budgeted differently, or they actually took it over as a county park thing or whatever. And they already had cabins on the property. They had different things on the property. So what they did is they just refurbished everything that was already there. They have these little cabins you could rent. You could stay there. They upgraded the little restaurant, like bar restaurant thing that's on the property already. They added a sound stage on the property that was already developed. And they have people come in playing live music and different things like that. And it draws a pretty decent crowd. But they didn't change anything about the footprint of the land. They didn't change anything about. They didn't extend out into the woods. They didn't add more buildings. They didn't destroy anything. They refurbished what was already there in existence. And you got to think, if that, just that little one here, how many of those kinds of places are run down all over the state of Florida? Where if they spent that money instead of putting a golf course in the middle of a swamp, you invest in some of these smaller parks all over Florida. And instead of having one large concentrated golf course or pickleball court area with a big hotel in a state park, you divide it up amongst all these little towns that have these little things all over the place and get them on the map again. The amount of tourists that would come here would still be the same amount of people. They could just go to different places and different locations and have more of a variety instead of just some big hotel in a swamp somewhere.
So I remember at Hillsborough River State Park, they used to have a trolley that would pick you up at your campsite and drive you around. And you can look at the deer and stuff. And last time we went camping there, the trolley was canceled because they didn't have enough staff to drive the trolley around. And now that's one of the campgrounds or one of the state parks that you're wanting to. What I'm saying is fix what you already got going on instead of ignoring that and trying to come and brainstorm different ideas because it's going to affect the wildlife by doing all these different footprint amenities big time.
Like the reason why people go to Mayaca State Park is to see alligators, deer, wildlife. Like that's why you go. Yeah, they have the cool like bridge and tower. But besides that, it's like you're literally going there to see wildlife. Imagine going to Mayaca State Park and they're like, yeah, you see this field where the deer come out every morning. You can see them grazing. Yeah, we're going to put a golf course there. Yeah. Like what? It's like the opposite of what the state park is.
Right. And like the people that are going to want to go there and golf, they're going to be terrified when they see an alligator because there's literally thousands of alligators there.
They're going to call and they're going to have to, hey, can you move the alligator?
Yeah, and so there's going to be all those alligators are going to see this big, wide open, sunny green area. Yeah. I mean, they're not doing it in Mayaca State Park. We're just using it as an example. But like, the areas where they do want to build these things are habitat for alligators and snakes and things like that. So you're going to have this golf course where you're going to have sunbathing alligators all over this golf course. And then these people are going to come in and be like, well, I'm from Connecticut or whatever. I don't want to see an alligator on my golf course. I just want to hit some balls around on the green. And
I wanted to correct.
Was it Robin Williams called it ball hunting?
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, you're not playing golf. It's ball hunting.
Yeah, it's
especially in the mountains.
But like, I mean, you're really gonna go ball hunting in a freaking state park that's covered in alligators.
Right. I want to correct myself because I said Mayaca River State Park is the one that did the tours and the trolley that pick up your campsite. It's actually Hillsborough. It's Hillsborough River State Park.
It. No, you said it right.
It's Hillsborough River State Park that does that, and it's kind of cool because Hillsborough River State Park is not extremely big as far as the pass that the trolley can drive around on, but you usually see herds of deer out there in the evening, and then you start doing all that noise pollution and construction, it's just going to scatter everything when there's a lot of stuff there that can be upgraded with the money that you're wanting to spend. Now, I know like the Anastasia State Park in St. Augustine, that's a beautiful spot. I've drove through there. It's very popular to camp out, much so like Fort DeSoto is. It's hard to get in. It's months in advance because it's so pristine and beautiful. It's a big park. It's right on, it's right there on the Atlantic Ocean. But what they were wanting to do there also is just asinine. Like, and obviously we're talking about this, and a lot of other people feel the same way that we do. That it's just, it's bonkers that. He literally shot himself in the foot by coming up with this idea. Yeah. And whoever said, let's go, whoever his advisors said, this sounds like something that's going to get positivity numbers in your favor, it needs to be fired because that was a dumb idea.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I would imagine his thinking, like you said, was tourism, and 2/3 of the people in the state of Florida aren't from here. So, like there's only 33% of people roughly are from here. They're the ones that are out there protesting out there, trying to stop this stuff.
Yeah.
So he thought, well, there's only probably 1/3 of the population of Florida is really only going to give it. So I think I can get this through, but I think it blew up in his face big time.
People from other states are freaking out about it too. They're like, "Are you kidding me? What are they thinking?"
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I was talking to somebody last night at a meeting I was at, and I compared it to the HOA deciding that my front yard would be a great place to put a fountain for all the neighbors to look at. And I'm like, I live there. This is my land. Like, I know that the outside people think it would be a great amenity to have in the neighborhood for a beautiful fountain, but I don't want it in my front yard. You already have places you could put a fountain. Don't put it on my property. And that's kind of how I feel about the state parks and all that. You have so much land. You think just in the area, how many old 1950s, 1960s old rundown motels, like the ones that have the outside door entrance with the balconies. You think of all these old hotels that we got all over Florida, all over, even like Orlando area. There's tons of these 1950s, 1960s old hotels. Knock those down and put something in the same footprint. You already covered the land with concrete. Yeah. Knock something down that's already there if you want to build a big hotel and put a new hotel there. I mean, not like you're knocking down historical buildings. I'm just talking the cheap budget Motel 6 type things or whatever.
If Ron DeSantis has a budget of excess money he needs to spend in the state parks, there are other ways to do it other than altering what is already existing.
Right. Well, kind of like what I posted on my Instagram story the other day, like the local hearings with these people talking about the flooding that happened after the hurricane. A lot of these people that were in not considered flood zones, they didn't have flood insurance. They were literally left high and dry, with nothing because they were not designated as a flood zone. They got flooded out because of poor drainage in the county. There's a road by me where there's 10 houses that have never been flooded before, got 2 feet of water in their houses, and they don't have insurance. They're having to fix it themselves. And what's crazy about it is we're talking about spending all this money on all these parks and all these different things, and then you got all these people that are literally, I lost everything and no one's helping me except for my actual neighbors are bringing me water, sandwiches, things like that. And there's video after video that they've been posting on East Manatee Preservation of all these local local public speaking things or whatever, where these people are begging and pleading this is my livelihood. I spent every dime I had on this house to be here and all this kind of stuff. And you watch foolish spending happening all over the place, and then you see people like this that lost everything, and it's where does this money really need to go? And that's kind of what I'm looking at now with a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the last place it needs to go.
Yeah.
He's very unpopular right now, and I feel like he's going to be unpopular for the rest of his term for doing something like this. Everybody that's pro DeSantis, I think you know what we're talking about. You don't need to be sensitive. We all make mistakes, and I'm looking right at you, pro DeSantis guys. Look, I like the guy when he first came in too. He did a lot during the pandemic to open up Florida. Wasn't it him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is here.
It was him, yeah. And then, he was kind of an innovator as far as no, we're not going to close down this state. We're going to keep it open. And that's why a lot of people moved down here because we were open.
Yep.
But now, I don't know why he thought that this would be a good idea. We all just talked about other ways of spending money and foolishness.
Florida definitely during 2020 was definitely the freest state in the country because of DeSantis. But since then it's kind of I think probably when he ran for president, things started. Yeah, people said that too. People were like, if he runs for president, it's Florida's come second.
Yeah.
Because he's still governor.
Yeah.
So he's he's campaigning. So it's okay, that's probably what's going on.
I think he lost sight of what got him in there in the first place.
Exactly.
Because he kind of seemed like an eco-hero when he first came in, because he came in and started fixing a lot of the problems we were having with the runoffs and different things all over the state that were, causing the algae blooms down in Okeechobee and down the rivers and all that. And, that big old algae bloom that spilled out into the Gulf and was caused all that red tide. That was project number one. He came right in swinging, we're going to fix these problems we got with our ecological system and, all that. And so he came in the perfect blend of both sides, both sides of the spectrum. It was right wing, left wing. He didn't care. He was right in the middle. And then, like you said, I think during the pandemic, it was like this tourism boom happened and people moving here and all that. And I think that's what got into his head. And he's like, and it may not even be like a corruption thing. It might have just been like, that was his success as governor. So now he thinks like, how can we continue that success? Like, let's continue this tourism. How can we get more people to go to places they normally wouldn't go, like a state park?
Enough people are visiting state parks. I spent a lot of time and have over the past decade at state parks, and there are enough people that are going to these to keep everything open and running. You don't have to modify, alter what's there. Just fix what's already there. Upgrade what's already existing. Like at Highland Hammock State Park, you can upgrade the boardwalk that goes over the Cypress Swamp. There's so much stuff you can do.
Part of it's
with
closed
that.
right now.
Exactly. There's so much you can do to these places instead of trying to line your developer buddies' pockets there and pandering to the snowbirds, essentially. Because if you think about it, the only activity that would be considered something for young people would be the disc golf, or regular golf. But who do you know under 40 plays pickleball?
I've never done
A
it.
lot.
You do?
I'm sorry. You do? To crush your spirits.
Oh,
Like everybody I know in their 20s and 30s plays pickleball.
Really?
Okay.
Except for me. They're all like, you should play. You'd love it. And I go, you mean all the tennis courts they turned into pickleball courts? I was like, it's going to come and go.
It will.
I'm
just like
stepping on a limb
just
and
like
saying
cornhole.
Yes, it's gonna. Well, I'm saying like tennis.
Yeah.
Tennis was huge. Every housing development, apartment complex, gym, tennis. Now what is it? Pickleball.
Yeah.
10, 15 years, it's going to be something else.
Yeah. So then you have all these amenities
Anyways.
that are kind of not used anymore in a decade, like the disc golf, like throwing the frisbee.
Yeah.
We got one right over here in the park.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll see somebody out there using it. It's been there for several years. It goes all the way around the park. So that you're kind of like little local town parks is where you would put something like that, not necessarily in a state park, because the people that go there to camp are going to be like, oh, they got disc golfs. Did you bring the frisbees? Let's go do that. No, they're not. Hey, well, we're going to a state park. It's got a golf course. Make sure you pack the golf clubs.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's meant to get away from the amenities that they're trying to put in there, not pander to, it's
like, why are they trying to turn it into a resort?
Exactly. If you want that, go to Disney, man. Like, there's plenty of other local parks and golf courses in the state that we don't need to pander to. I have nothing against golf. I don't play it. I don't like it. I think it's boring. Throwing a frisbee. When we were kids, it was just throwing a frisbee.
Yeah.
You weren't trying to hit a chains. You weren't trying to hit a little.
Well, like
chains.
Matt the Welder said, it sounds like a lonely way to play frisbee. Like,
it really does.
He's like, I used to have friends I would throw it to, and they would catch it, and
That's just a thing with
like
little
that.
metal string.
I mean, and now pickleball, to defend pickleball, there are, and in this county, there's a lot of older people that play it because it is a good way to stay in shape. It's good endurance, good cardio.
Yeah.
It's fast paced. It is picking up. So I was wrong. I didn't realize that many people played it.
I didn't realize young people played it.
I didn't either.
really
I thought it was
popular
just
right
older
now.
people.
Because out here in Bradenton, we have this neighborhood, Del Webb, out on State Road 70. It's a 55 plus neighborhood, really high dollar, expensive neighborhood.
Right.
But they have pickleball courts all over the place there, and I did a lot of electrical work in there, and like on Tuesdays or something like that, they had this pickleball tournament in the neighborhood. The neighborhood shut down.
Yeah,
everybody in that neighborhood was at these pickleball courts. They were all 55 plus, so that's who I thought was like the demographic or whatever. But like, you could hear it. It sounded like an NFL game. Like across the neighborhood, you could hear all these people cheering as you're working. And I'm working in the new construction area, and I just keep hearing like cheering in the distance, and it's like,
crazy.
What the heck? And I don't know, man. But you know what I think? I think we need a campaign to bring back shuffleboard.
Oh,
you ever played shuffleboard?
That's the best.
Dude, I love shuffleboard.
Horseshoes kind of went away when people started picking up cornhole because it didn't damage your lawn. You didn't need a permanent spot for horseshoes. But I remember playing horseshoes as a kid. That was like the thing to do before cornhole.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I lived in a trailer park for a little bit, and we had shuffleboard out there.
Yeah.
They had little bags of that sparkly sand you sprinkle out first, and like I remember like I think it was one of my cousins or something.
Yeah.
Because these shuffleboard courts were there for for years, and nobody was touching them.
Yeah.
And he came into town, and he's like, "Dude, you guys have this here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dude, have you ever played it?" And I'm like, "No." And so we started playing it, and I became obsessed with it for like a short amount of time. And I was like, at the time, probably 60 years younger than your average player. But like I started playing shuffleboard with some of these old people in the trailer park, and I had a blast doing it.
Yeah.
And it didn't. I don't know. I'm just talking trash or whatever. But I mean,
growing up in Sarasota, I had friends that were like Mennonite, and their grandparents lived in Pinecraft, and they would have a shuffleboard in their yard, but they're right by the park that had shuffleboard, had like 20 shuffleboards, and they would have like competitions and stuff.
Did you guys ever play croquet?
I never did that much.
A couple times. I was like young and I didn't really understand it, but you just have to hit it through the like the
little
thing.
loop.
Yeah. We just would hit it really hard.
It's like a big mallet.
Yeah. We basically got bored of hitting it on the ground. We'd try to throw it in.
You try to hit it as hard as you can. Yeah. I used to play that younger when my buddy John, his dad had a set, and we would play it in the backyard and try to be professional.
I played my own version of a lot of those games, but I don't think I ever played by the rules for any of this stuff.
Did you ever have lawn darts? Did you ever play with lawn darts, or were you guys?
Was
that older?
That was like older. That was before
our parents
time.
or something.
I think it was because people were getting hurt with them, so I think they got rid of them.
Well, the funny thing is I didn't know anything about lawn darts until I got older. But me and my friend, we were probably elementary school, probably like 10 years old. I want to say 10 or 11, and he had an arrow, and we would play how you would probably play lawn dart. With an arrow, and we would literally I'm standing on one end of the yard, he's on the other end, and we would throw the arrow and we would just stand there and see where it lands. Like a legit like arrow. And then I remember one time our parents didn't know this, obviously they wouldn't let us do this until we threw it and it stuck in the top of the roof. And then we're like, crap. And we're like, how do we get this? Because we couldn't we weren't big enough to get a ladder or anything. And then we had to tell his dad, and his dad's like, how'd they get up there? And we're like, we threw it. And he's like, we can't play with that anymore. He took it down, took it away from us. I was like, man.
So we had I can't believe I'm going to say this on camera. We had a regular dartboard like you have at a bar, restaurant, whatever. We had a dartboard in the house and on the wall. And there was a hallway that went back to where my parents' bedroom was. And they had cats, when I was growing up. And I remember we were playing with these darts. One missed the board, went down the hall, stuck in one of my cat's thighs, and then the cat took off and ran into my parents' room and under the bed, and they were sleeping already. So my sister and I are trying to figure out how to get, because you'd hear the cat in the room whatever, and we're and we were freaking out, and we're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Because my parents love their cats, and we're like, so they're sleeping, and this cat's under their bed, and we can still hear that they're asleep. So we're trying to figure out how to get in there. And then finally, the cat got the dart out itself, so we just grabbed it and ran, and we never played with that dartboard again. And I don't think my parents know why we stopped playing darts. Back then,
the cat starts limping. Why did they stop playing darts? Why is the cat limping?
And the good thing is those cats did live for a few years after that happened, so they didn't get tetanus or they didn't get anything like that. So
the cat's okay.
The cat was 21 years old. It finally died.
Well, I meant after.
Unrelated to the dart, the cat lived many more happy years. And died peacefully at the old age of 21 years old. So but when you said lawn darts, it reminded me.
I don't know, just throwing sharp objects. It's just fun.
What was it? What movie was it? Or a TV show where they were shooting arrows straight in the air? It was a movie, wasn't it? Where they would shoot them in the air, then they had to run. Yeah. And it was a slow motion cutscene where everyone's running away. Oh, it was Grown Ups or something, wasn't it?
Maybe.
I think it was Grown Ups. Yeah, I think it was.
We used to bottle rockets.
Yeah, dude. We used to bottle rocket wars.
Yeah, but we would light one and then just tear the stick off. We break the stick, light one, and drop it in the middle of the road.
What'd you call it? What'd you call that? I called them floaters. Okay. I don't know why. Sorry. We call them floaters.
I can't say what we called it, but we would drop it in the road and that thing would jet off. Didn't matter which way. Dude. You had no idea. 5 or 6 people around it and you'd light it and drop it and it would sometimes
they
it would
just launch it
you had no idea which way it was going to go. It was fun. I liked bottle rockets.
Once you got past holding a bottle rocket to shoot at people, once you got past the sparks burning your thumb, it's so fun.
Yeah,
it was like
you start aiming them at people at that point.
Because you're this doesn't hurt anymore.
Back, this is obviously totally different times, but it's that was a go-to item you grabbed on the way out of the house. You made sure you had some quarters for the soda machine. You had a pack of bottle rockets. You had your lighter. You hopped on your bike. You went. That was
grab a Coke.
Yeah, it was just what are they putting this stuff? But it was it was like a go-to item. You just grabbed it on the way out of the house, like you would with keys, wallet, phone. Now you're change bottle rockets, whatever, ready to go.
Simpson would always have some kind of paraphernalia
a little slingshot in his back pocket. Yeah. And I don't know. And we used to go down by the river with those slingshots that had the arm brace thing. Just shoot stuff with that. And all the stuff that we were it was so different back then because now, I feel if cameras existed or people watched the way they do now, or camera phones existed, like all of us would probably just be locked up for stuff that
I would have been in jail.
most people considered childhood, but now at the time it's like some sort of horrible. And even the names of some of the games, like no, I'm not even going to say it.
Yeah. When you would throw the football and have to tackle somebody.
Yeah.
Who'd you call that person?
Yeah. And then there was the tag version. And then,
So you guys remember the M80s, the ones that you can actually had the wax ends, you can light them and throw them in water, like a 5-gallon bucket of water and stuff.
Little dynamites.
Yeah.
I had a buddy that had he had an old musket, and he kept a little barrel of black powder around to pack his musket and whatever, and he'd shoot on his property with it. And this was around the time. This was around the time when M&M minis existed. They had those tubes.
Yeah.
So what we would do is we would mix black powder and sawdust to find just the right amount of boom to like blow stuff up, and then we would adjust accordingly depending on how big of a boom we wanted. And then we would go out of the woods and we'd find little pine trees with knots in them and just stick them in there. And then we would unroll the wick string that he had. He had this wick string stuff. We'd unroll the wick as far as we could, and then we'd light it and we'd just run. And we had no idea sometimes how big these booms were going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes the knot would just get bigger. Other times a tree would fall down, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
This is...
we did the same thing. We would take the empty little mini CO2 cartridges. Mm-hmm. We had a friend who was older who did it and showed us how to do it. And basically you fill it with black powder.
Oh,
because it's a little hole.
Yeah.
And then you fill it with black powder, and then you put a wick in it, like a firework wick. And then you light it. And it literally would make a crater, probably like a 3x3 foot crater in the ground.
Would it explode the cartridge with shrapnel?
Yeah, you just put it on the ground. You don't even bury it or anything. You just put it on the ground. And because, the cartridge explodes, you literally have to hide because there's shrapnel. Like that metal or aluminum like is flying.
Or like shock treatment in aluminum foil in a 2-liter bottle.
Yes.
Or a Gatorade bottle, whatever.
Yeah.
We used to make those.
Don't take notes, children.
Yeah, we used to make those Drano. I made quite a few of those.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say how to do it, but we used to do a lot of those.
Parents love hearing this, but
blow stuff up. Just stupid stuff.
I can still count to 10.
Yeah.
We ain't playing with dynamite or nothing.
I can still count to 10.
It's dangerous.
There used to be a
sorry
book.
about your fingers, Chris.
There used to be a book back in the day.
I can still count to 10.
There used to be a book back in the day that you could get before the internet was popular. It was called the Anarchist Cookbook.
Oh yeah.
And they actually, I think they, for a while there, it was hard to get. Like it was because it told you how to make and all kinds of like smoked banana
like
peels,
do-it-yourself weapons, just
like booby traps.
They taught you how to like get high on banana peels or something stupid, wasn't it?
I had the book
before YouTube.
It was like printed YouTube.
It was like this thick. It was like a Bible on how to do.
It was like YouTube before cancel people.
It really was. So they actually got rid of it
on paper,
and it was hard to get. And I got a copy of it from like Books A Million or something. I had to order it.
Do you have it right now?
No, I got rid of it. I got rid of it like 10 years ago. No, I don't have it anymore. But
I want it
because all that stuff you can get on the internet, like like it's like.
You're right.
But I don't remember. Like I remember thumbing through it.
Can't get tracked by Google though.
Yeah. But there
was no search. There was no search history in this book.
This is back. This is back when we had like flip
you gave
phones
cash to the Books A Million employee, and they're like, "Here's your terror book."
Yeah.
Here's how you make boomsticks.
And there was no age limit on it. You just buy the book. Like you could walk in there at 13 years old with a pocket full of change. You're like, "Give me your cookbook."
So the Anarchist Cookbook was the thing to have back in the day. If I mean. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people bought the book and actually intended to do harm. But as you're a kid, you get the information. You're like, I just want to have fun with it. I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to see what else is available because we didn't have the internet at our disposal.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like early 2000s. So, you had like the Razor flip phone, but obviously you didn't have
it even showed you fun stuff like what colored metals to throw into a fire to make the fire change color. Like
it wasn't just always destruction.
It was like phosphorus turns it red or like whatever it is, and like you throw different metals into a fire and it like it turns green or blue, and they basically taught you how to make your own fireworks too. So it wasn't just like
get you interested in like science and chemistry.
It really was. I mean,
I think they just labeled it as what the way they did because it did show you how to make like stuff.
Yeah,
kind of like just and that was in the terrorist days.
How to crystallize amphetamines and things.
I don't
make crystal meth.
I don't know if it had that in there. I don't recall that part.
This out, sorry.
Well, it taught you how to crystallize.
Oh, did
things.
It?
Yeah,
did it?
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Like rock candy.
Yeah.
I bought the book just because I could get it. I thumbed through it. I didn't do anything in the book. I wound up getting rid of the book because I'm like, I don't need this.
Well, shortly after the time
I grew out of the phase of doing stupid shit.
I remember it was around the time that we got that book.
Now.
at least around the time what was popular when I was a kid, right after some of my friends had it, 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And then it was like if you got with that book, it wasn't
that's
just
what I
like
say. It was harder to get after 9/11. I think I got my copy like. Yeah, because I started college in 2000, so it was like right around then.
Yeah.
It was right around before 9/11 when I got the book. Like you can go into Books A Million and order it, and then go back like a week later and buy it. It was like $30.
Can you believe like that even was a thing?
Yeah.
Books A Million?
Like how crazy is it that you could just go buy this book?
Yeah,
There's a million books.
they didn't have
There
it.
was
They
1
didn't-
million books. They counted. When you bought one, a guy had to deliver another one.
Yeah. Well, see, we went. Now we didn't
1
know about
million.
it. We didn't know about the book. We were told about it, so we went there
Yeah.
to look for it. And they're
Right.
like,
You
they
have to
didn't
find it.
carry it in stock. You had to order it. And this was before, really you can get books like that.
Right.
Books A Million was about the only place you could go to get hard to find books.
Yeah.
So we ordered it, and
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I it's kind of different subject, but like, do you guys remember growing up and being able to go to the store, like the gas station, and being able to buy like a ton of stuff for like $5-10 bucks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember like a $20 bill was like
A lot of money.
I could buy like a box of
stuff.
food
Yeah.
or snacks.
Yeah, way back in like
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, way back in 2019. But so I was making jokes about that, and then I was with my dad, who was born in 1950, so he grew up in the 50s and 60s, and he was like, "Yeah, I remember going to the store and buying like a Coke and a pack of gum and cards for like $0.25," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, and back then they just gave you a pack of
Yeah.
Marlboros for free.
And so he told me that like during a conversation with somebody, and then years later I brought it up because I thought it was the funniest thing. I was like, yeah, back in my day, I went down to the corner store to buy a Coke and a pack of gum for a nickel. And my dad's like, it was more like a dime, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. It's just such a funny thing.
Dude, it's crazy. And like I was just talking to
crazy.
somebody, oddly enough, yesterday. I ran into a guy at Dollar Tree, which is kind of a weird, just a strange thing anyway. I don't even go to Dollar Tree, but this guy liked my Cadillac, and we got talking, and he had an '87 Cutlass, and I was like, no way, I used to have an '86 Buick Regal, the G body, the old 2-door, General Motors cars that everybody loved, and a lot of the lowrider community likes to turn them into lowriders and all that, and that's kind of where we got talking. But we were talking about. I told him I sold it or whatever, and this was back in, I don't know, I had to have been, it was probably 2004, 2005, something like that. I sold it, and the reason I sold it was because gas went above $2 a gallon. And I freaked out. I was like, this car gets like 6 miles a gallon. It had a 4-barrel carb on it. It had the old 307 in it instead of the 6-cylinder that normally comes in them.
Yeah.
So I'm like driving, and this was my daily driver. So I'm driving out to the girlfriend I had at the time. I'm picking her up. I'm bringing her home. I'm driving the other direction to go to town. Then I'd get, to go to work in town. Then I'd get off work, go back out, pick her up. And I'm like, I was filling up my tank like every couple of days, and it went from like $1.89 a gallon up to like $2.04. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do it. I freaked out, and I sold like the car. Like that would be the one car I would have back if I could. But I remember I remember freaking out when gas got up to $2 a gallon, and I'm not even that old. And then, you hear people talking about gas being like 40 cents a gallon, things like that. And
When I was in high school, when I got my license, it was like 98. Gas was 99 cents a gallon.
Dude.
That's the lowest I've ever seen it, and it's just slowly climbed since then.
Right.
But $20 could fill your tank, and then you could you'd be good.
I remember
for
filling up
half a week
with $30.
Yeah.
I had a car. It was, I don't know, like 13 to 16 gallon tank, but yeah, every couple weeks, all it took was like $35.
But we were also making like $5.75 an hour minimum wage too. So
I made like 8.
ooh.
my
I worked at Cash and Carry was my first job. Cash and Carry, which got bought out, which is now Sweet Bay.
Yeah.
But I was a bag boy.
Are they
I
around
remember
still, or
Sweet Bay?
like as a company, are they still around?
I don't know.
Because I know they're gone around here, but I don't know if they're still.
Bought. I don't know.
Ours is a Goodwill now.
So I worked at Cash and Carry in Palmetto, and I got fired for like I would dump out the apple juice and fill it with like a 24 pack of Corona because it looked like the same color, and then I would just buy the apple juice because thought I was cool because I was underage, but I was I was a bagger, and I was a stock boy there, and I would we would just open up a gallon of chocolate milk and drink it and put it in the damaged bin, or we would throw eggs at each other in the egg cooler. Just being teenagers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I eventually got fired for.
Oh man.
For
It's kind of like every mall employee in high school.
Yeah.
Like they just exchange goods between stores for free.
that was the
It
Ellington
was like-
outlet malls.
It's like I have shoes, you have what I want. Yeah, the outlet malls, the DeSoto Mall when the DeSoto
Yeah.
Mall was a thing, and
Yeah. Yeah. When I used to work festivals with a donut company, and like at festivals and fairs, like different booths, if you have food and stuff, you just trade with the vendors.
Just barter with them.
You barter with them. You're
Yeah.
like, here, I got a dozen donuts. Like, what can you give me? And they'll give you like a smoothie and something. I'm like, this is great.
yeah.
It's not
I
because
like-
it
I
wasn't
like
my
the old way
money.
of life.
I feel bad, but it's like, but they did it too. It wasn't
Yeah.
like just us, like on the side, like, I was like, yeah, whatever. Anyways.
so cash and carry.
Oh, so yeah, so right here in May 2013, the chain this went to Sweet. So after Cash and Carry Sweet Bay in 2013, the chain was purchased by Buy Low. So it retired the Sweet Bay name in 2013,
Rebranded as Winn-Dixie.
and it rebranded as Winn-Dixie, which makes sense because I can picture a Cash and Carry building that turned into a Sweet Bay that is a Winn-Dixie.
Yeah.
Now. So that makes so much sense.
So Winn-Dixie was around long before Sweet Bay, though. So did they just
gobbled them up.
absorb?
Yeah,
Winn-Dixie
they
just
absorbed
absorbed the Sweet Bays?
Absorb.
Just okay. So it wasn't like they became Winn-Dixie, because I'm like, no, Winn-Dixie's been around.
remember
Unless this is some kind of Mandela
Yeah.
effect kind of
Yeah.
thing where no, Winn-Dixie was never around when you were a kid. I'm like,
Yeah.
it freaking was.
Yeah, it
and
was.
the Monopoly guy had a monocle.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember Food Lion?
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
grocery store Food Lion.
there was that one in Cortez.
They had them here.
Yeah, there was one in Ruskin.
Because they're in
By
other
my grandmother's
states
house.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never knew it was here, though.
Yeah, it was like on Cortez, kind of near
Yeah.
where the Applebee's and Home Depot and all that kind of stuff is.
And what about
In Bradenton here, but-
Albertsons? You remember Albertsons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there ever Piggly Wigglies? Piggly
There
Wigglies in
There
Florida?
is one up in North Florida. I went, it's still open. Me
way.
and the wife went to
Really?
it like a couple years ago when we went up there. It's in North Florida, right by the Georgia line.
I just
Piggly
love that
Wiggly.
name. Let's go to the
Piggly-
Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
My favorite one
The
is
old corner store.
my
Piggly
favorite one is
Wiggly.
it's not in Florida, but I went with my wife up to Massachusetts where she's from, and I won't hold it against her, but she they have like something called like the Price Chopper,
Oh, yeah.
but it's not the name that's funny, it's the fact that people with that Boston accent, let's go down to the Price Chopper.
yeah.
Let's go down to the
Chopper.
Price Chopper. Go down to the Chopper.
Yeah.
It was,
the
like
Chopper.
it was funny like that. I
That's
think
what
that
makes
was
it
more
funny.
entertaining to me than the actual name of the store was
Yeah.
the Price Chopper.
Do you want to win one of my handmade Florida flags? I'm JD, founder and owner of FLOrigins. Check out FLOrigins.com for all of our art apparel and accessories. For every $3 you spend is equal to 1 entry to winning one of our handmade Florida flags. Why are you still here? Go to FLOrigins.com.
I think Massachusetts. There's different parts.
Yeah.
Just like there's a London or a European accent or an English accent. There's so many different types.
There's
of
like the
English
Cape
accents.
Cod version of the Massachusetts
Yes.
accent,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one's
yeah.
like all
Yeah.
like Mayor Quimby freaking thing going on. But like,
Yeah.
but then there's like the regular Massachusetts accents, which you don't really notice. Like my wife, thank God, doesn't have it, but she says a couple words, like she says like bag instead of bag.
Yeah.
It slips out every once in a while,
I
like
can't.
get the bag, and then she
Just
calls
say
shopping
car.
carts. She calls shopping carts carriages and stuff
Oh,
like that. So I'm
snap.
like, it's not really
They
so
still got
much.
some British
It's not so
over
much
there.
of an accent. It's like different words that they use.
Correct.
Which is
Yes.
weird.
Especially
Yeah.
when they get angry or drunk, that accent tends to come out a little bit more. So,
Yeah.
so the accent
They
was
yell
so
at you.
bad that when she moved down here, she did everything she could to eliminate the accent because she didn't want to be seen as having that accent in Florida.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have what her
Yeah.
mother. Oh, Jesus, her mother just pot the con Harvard yard kind of thing.
Oh,
Like, oh,
man.
bro,
I think-
that's
I think,
rough. I don't know if I could deal with it.
That one, I don't know what
Some
it is.
people are like getting so mad, right?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
some people are
fine.
getting
Look,
mad.
It's fine.
Well, I haven't even started.
This is Florida.
I haven't,
Florida, bro.
I haven't talked about New Jersey yet, so buckle your seatbelts.
Oh.
So I think my problem with New Jersey and the people of New Jersey is they try so hard to be New York, but they're not. So like the people of New York, they're New Yorkers. They have their accent. They're from the real place. They're the New Yorkers. And I feel like New Jersey is like the little brother who's trying to be like Big Brother. And they're like, yeah, we're the same thing. We're from Jersey. Yeah, we're tough too. And I'm like, no, I mean you're kind of tough, but you're not New York. I mean it's like I don't know what it is about that whole thing. And like then they make the New York Jets, and it's like you're I don't know. It's
people
just
are mad
it's
right
just
now.
something. Yeah,
Well, I can
I'm
tell
thinking
you
about that. I'm already reading the comments in my head, and I think that's why I zoned out for a second.
So
I'm like, oh, what did I just do?
I can tell
We
you.
were there.
I can tell you from my experience, as far as being a native Floridian, being married and being with a woman from the Northeast, that will be the only time that I will take that endeavor. Before her and after her, I made sure that anybody that I was with after her was from Florida, and I've stuck to that. And I was with several women long term, and even my wife is from Florida, and I made sure that I do not want a Northeast girl that's just all of a sudden wants to live in Florida, because there's just something about them that is not pleasant.
This is
There's a
JD's
lot of-
public service announcement.
There's several things
The
about
more
them.
you know.
The more you know.
If you're a real Florida boy, you know.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure, guys out there that are in their 30s and 40s who've dated, the difference between a girl that's from the South or from Florida or a girl that's from the Northeast. Those are two, that Mason-Dixon line is there for a reason. You cross it, it's a different breed of people. The more north you go. You go to the Midwest, like Wisconsin and stuff. Like, I haven't dated a girl that's got a lot that's like that, but I would imagine they got their little quirks and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
And people say the same thing about Floridians. Like, y'all are just arrogant assholes or, whatever they want to call us. So I'm not putting us up on a pedestal. I'm just saying from my own experience that I've dipped my pen in that company ink, and I
was
ain't
wondering
doing
what
it
you were
again.
about to say. Okay.
I am not dipping my
anything.
I ain't dipping
I
my
think we're
pen.
okay. I think we're okay on the
we're good.
bleeping.
Yeah,
we're
we're
good on the
good.
bleeping.
Yeah.
Okay, he went somewhere else with that.
I
We're
never-
clear, folks. We're clear.
I was so homeschooled. I'm throwing myself under the bus. I was so
homeschooled.
homeschooled that when I didn't know we had accents.
Really?
Like, I didn't understand, because you think of an accent as in.
I don't think I
this
have one at
sounds
all.
so ignorant. Other states have accents. Like, obviously, there's the country accent that you think of, like Georgia, Alabama,
Yeah.
Texas, and then you think of the northern accent, or you think of Wisconsin or Michigan accent. But
crap.
when I met people from those states, and I go, man, I'll say something like, oh, I could tell by your accent you weren't from here, and they're like, well, yeah, you have an accent too. Or they're like, man, or they'll be like, oh, I like your accent. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I don't have an accent. They're like, yeah, you do.
I've been told
And I'm
that
like,
too, but like
oh.
to me, I feel like I sound like a news anchor, like no accent. Like then everybody
Like, maybe
around
it's the
me,
cadence of your
everybody
voice.
around me talks like me for the most part. So to me, like, I mean, we have the Lakewood Ranch accent, which
Right.
is just a spinoff of the New York accent.
Yeah.
But like, I think about like people I know and people I grew up with. I'm like, I don't have an accent, but I've been told by other people that I
Yeah.
do. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, you got like a little bit of a Southern thing going on there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I don't think I do. If I get
Yeah.
around Southern people long enough,
Yes.
Yeah.
like when I
It
lived in
rubs off.
Mayaca, I definitely
It
had it.
does.
And if I get back around Mayaca people, so all of a sudden I start talking a little more like,
I
whatever,
think
but-
Florida there's a lot of different accents of people that grow up and were born here, like Matt the Welder's accent is a
Yeah.
lot different than Travis Thompson's accent.
Yeah.
But they both born and raised here,
Yeah.
almost in the same county.
Yeah.
And they have different accents, but they're native. They're not like, oh, their family came from another state. There's like, no, they literally are like Florida.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that are like, they have a different type of accent from Florida. But it's like a southern, some type of twang
Yeah.
or like accent we
The
have.
farther north in Florida you go, the more country the accent gets.
Yeah.
The
It's
farther
almost
south-
like the further north in Florida you go, the more southern it gets.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
it's
we're
like
the
flip-flopped.
south. We're the south.
We're the dirty tip dangling down there in the
Yeah, I'm like the south is north of us, but we're the south.
Yeah. Because I mean, you go to Georgia, it's the accent is
Oh, yeah.
thick.
Oh, yeah.
Very,
It's
very
really thick. And
Yeah,
you
they're
go,
all up there like the South will rise again.
Man, Georgia is a special place.
Yeah.
Like that's a wide array of people there.
Yeah.
Now I got nothing against the people from Northeast. There's a lot of good people that come
Yeah.
from the Northeast.
Like Aaron's wife.
Yeah, there you go. And
We love her.
There's nothing wrong with it. Their driving is a little off down here in Florida, but as a person, like I've done a lot of work for people
Right.
that move down here from up there, and they're good, genuine people.
Oh, yeah.
People
Yeah.
aren't. It's just that accent is a little hard to get.
I think I
through.
figured out the driving though, because like up there they're so used to hills and turning. So I think when they're going down a straight road, they don't know what to do. So they just start turning the wheel because they're so used to the hills and hitting the brakes and hitting the gas. And I think the flat roads really throw them off. And I think it's unfair to them that we judge them because we have the longest, flattest, straightest roads, I think, in most of the country. And so I think I think they're at a disadvantage because they're not used to that.
You should do stand up, dude. That's good.
I think that's probably something we need to cut them a little slack on. Is they're not used to holding the wheel in the same spot for so long. Yeah. So they probably get these involuntary here's a hill.
And they're so used to going slow because of all the turns and everything that they're like, oh, I still got to go slow. Yeah. On these straight roads.
Yeah.
So there may be a mountain.
So I
we have one, Mount Dora.
Yeah, we do.
Claremont is like a different state.
It's like, I went to a vineyard there for a wedding one time.
Yeah.
It's like there's rolling hills with a vineyard. I was
different state.
It was weird. That was not Florida.
So cool.
Like I drove into a totally different country. It felt like
that's where the old citrus groves and stuff used to be up there, and they were annihilating them and putting up neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's booming. I have friends that live in Claremont.
Yeah, like my aunt used to work, at least to live up there, and this is 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, and it was there wasn't a whole lot around. She worked at Universal, and I used to just drive down the road and it'd be orange groves both sides. Smell that smell. It was kind of rolling hills. Yeah, it was beautiful up there. But now it's just they're just packing in neighborhoods.
Yeah, like it looks like Italy. Like the one place I went to for this wedding, like they built this like Tuscan looking Italian building. Like and they did a good job. It's not like the cheesy barrel tiles they put on houses here. Like they made it look like it was an old Italian building with vines growing up the building. Like beautiful place. Yeah. And then like from the balcony, you just see all these hills like at sunset that had like actual vineyards on them. Yeah. And it was beautiful, but it was obviously manufactured. It wasn't natural Florida by any means, but it was like. It was. I mean, it looked beautiful, but it was like I felt like I was in a completely different country, like not even in America or maybe Northern California or something. But it didn't feel like Florida, and it was odd, just the hills alone, and the fact that they were like real hills, not like landfills, and what we're used to. And I don't know. There's so many different Floridas in Florida. And I've seen so many people draw up like different memes and different graphs of it where they'll draw like the Panhandle as one and then Southern Florida is another and then they'll draw like the center of the state and it's like there's so many different variations of it that it's like we're not just one place. It's crazy. Yeah. But
between the beaches.
Yeah.
So go back to the accents. How do you guys say oil?
Oil?
Yeah, I can't. Oil?
You can't say oil. You say oil?
I say oil.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Change the oil.
Change the oil.
I don't know.
Oil. I've got made fun of that. Just, I don't know. It's just kind of what it is.
I think it depends. I think it depends on if I just say the word oil, I'll say oil. But if I'm saying like I got to go get my oil changed.
You say it fast.
I guess, it's oil. I guess when I say it fast, it kind of comes out too.
Yeah. I feel like I'm struggling to pronounce it the correct way. Oil.
Yeah.
Oil. I just say oil.
You know what word I have a really hard time with is the real name for a weatherman.
A news anchor?
I'm going to try it on camera. Meteorologist.
Meteorologist.
I always get like
Yeah. I grew up not being able to say like burger. There's words that like I get tripped up on now too. Like I'm like I'll try to say it. I'm like my wife, dude. My wife.
Oh, I got one.
My wife will bring this up all the time because for whatever reason, that mirror in the front of your car and the windshield that you look in the rear.
Yeah.
I have no idea why I started saying this, but I always call it a river view mirror. River view, not rear view. Yeah. Because I think when I was a kid, I heard it and I didn't understand what they were saying, and so like I heard river view because someone said it really fast, so I just always called it river view mirror. And then I said it one time. My wife was like, "What the heck did you just say?" And I was like, "River view mirror," and she's like, "The rear view mirror." I was like, yes, I know it's called a rear view mirror, but when I am really fast trying to say something, I say a rear view mirror because that's just what I grew up saying for some weird reason.
So, all right, guys, in the comments, how many of you call it river view mirrors?
Okay,
0.
I got another one for you. So my wife growing up.
I got one next.
Perfect. My wife growing up used to call a chest of drawers Chester drawers.
I've heard that one. I've heard people say that.
Chester drawers.
Chester drawers, yeah.
So that was and she's been doing that just the past 5 years. She got corrected and felt embarrassed. It's called a chest of drawers, not Chester drawers.
Yeah.
Chester drawers.
I love it.
So what do you guys call the line that divides the northern hemisphere from the southern hemisphere?
The equator.
Equator.
Okay, so I say equator.
Oh, equator.
Like
equator?
Equator. North of the equator.
Equator.
And like when I say and same thing with insurance, my wife gives me crap because I'll say insurance.
I say insurance.
Like I say I got to pay the insurance, not like I got to pay the insurance. My
What do you
inflections,
say?
like I say insurance, like a hard
Insurance.
an equator, and like she like when she's like, oh, you're gonna go down to the equator, and like she'd like make fun of me and all this stuff, and it's like things that I thought were normal growing up. That she's like, oh yeah, you're gonna go pay the insurance down by the equator.
Oh,
And I'm
here,
like,
I got another one for you. So my wife makes fun of me. I say put. Like
stay put?
Like I'm gonna put
Like
this
keep-
down.
oh,
I'm gonna
put
What?
put.
I'm gonna put.
I'm gonna put this right here.
like PWIT.
She's like,
Quit.
you said
Where in
you-
the world did you learn that?
She called it out on one of the episodes. She's like, you said
you're
put
right.
again. I was like, put. That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Put. I put this down.
Put. Like it's almost like POOT.
Yeah, put.
I put it down.
Or like
Put.
PWOOT, like put.
Put.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Put. I can't even say. How do you say it the right way?
Put.
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 I put it down. You can't
Don't
say-
hurt yourself.
Put. It feels like I'm struggling.
Okay, guys. Okay, this has been a long, ongoing debate. I'm bringing this up with about my wife. This is a
Oh,
long,
man, we're all gonna be in
ongoing.
trouble after this
I know
one.
she's gonna hate
This
this.
is
Sorry,
gonna be
babe.
blacklisted.
So I
Yeah.
think she knows she's wrong. This sounds so bad. I'm saying this so bad. Okay, so I think she knows she's wrong, but she's sticking by her guns. So I mean, kudos to her. She's sticking by her guns. Do you pronounce it Yoshi or Yashi?
Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Yeah. So everyone in the comments put. I don't know how you would say that, but
You mean
it's Yoshi.
you mean Mario's
But
little buddy?
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
the little green turtle lizard
the
thing.
little dinosaur guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when she said Yoshi or Yashi, I didn't know what she was talking about, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "The thing with the." I was like, "Yoshi?" She's like, "No, it's Yashi," because she. So the reason why she thinks it's that is because there's a Japanese accent when they say Yoshi in the Mario Super Mario. So when they hop on Yoshi, it goes Yoshi.
Yeah.
But so when she's just a kid, it sounds like Yashi. So she always called it Yashi because she was used to it. And I go back and we would like play the game, and I was like, okay, I could see where she gets that. But everyone, you look it up, and it is Yoshi.
Yoshi, yeah.
But because of like that childhood, like it's Yashi,
Yeah.
it's like she sticks with it.
So
But,
this could be
yeah.
like a multicultural, multi-international debate we just started
It
here.
is. So yeah. So if you are from, did Mario was it created in Japan? Was it a Japanese?
I think it was.
creator or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah. So if you're from Japan or no,
I think he's supposed to be an Italian plumber from a Japanese perspective.
yeah. So I guess if you know the proper way to say it, wahoo! Let us know because everyone I think thinks it's Yoshi, but my wife and some other people I think probably think it's Yashi. I just had to bring that up. I had to bring that up.
Man, we were
I'm
all
sorry, girl.
We were all in trouble for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all gonna get in trouble for this episode.
Well, that's a wrap, guys. No.
And cut.
And this is our last episode as the Flow Bros together.
The wife's
So
won't
We
let us out
will
of the
no
house.
longer be allowed to film episodes
Yeah, the
as a
wife's-
result of this podcast.
I mean, shoot, talking about episodes, this is episode technically 7 or 8 when we dropped this episode. So, I mean, shoot, like it's only been, what, a month and a half we've been doing these episodes. It's kind of like a little mini recap.
Yeah.
It's like I personally have learned so much
Yeah.
from local government to conservation to even music with Jesse is like, dude, it's
I know.
like I'm learning things. It's freaking
Well,
cool.
it's kind of like that first episode we had with not like our first episode, but our first guest, Stacy
Yeah.
and Mimi from
Yes.
East Manatee Preservation. I literally was talking about how like I don't really know where to get started. I want to get involved in these things to the point where we are a few episodes in. And we're like the FloBro Show is almost becoming like we're becoming like activists.
Yeah, we
Like,
are.
we're
Now
getting
with Florida Wild.
we're getting involved in this
And
thing going
local
on with the
government.
state parks and like all
Yeah.
the stuff that we're doing. It's sort of like I guess I kind of just didn't even mean to, but now I'm some sort of like an environmental activist type person, and I don't know. It's just kind of weird how it all played out. Like
Yeah,
we're like
it's like evolved
We're not
into-
really
Yeah.
sure what this podcast was going to be when we launched it, but it just sort of seems like it's naturally steering itself in a direction.
We
and-
are going with the flow.
We are.
yeah,
We're
the flow.
we're flowing.
Bros.
flow, bro. Let's flow.
So we all three have flow hose.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we have flow hose.
Yes.
So Mimi said that we did make an impact
Yeah,
on the local voting.
we did.
Now you sent us that screenshot
Yeah,
of
in
her.
Manatee County, we had just had the vote for primaries for to who's going to the November 5th, election between Republican and Democrat for the final vote. But yeah, everyone that our county, like there was commissioners that we didn't want to stay commissioners. So we basically voted in locally, the county as a whole voted in who we thought would be the best candidates for commissioners. And yeah, Mimi said we probably had a good impact by having them on at the right time, being able to promote that, and like they were able to share it on platforms. People were able to take that and share it. And it's like we literally were like just talking about like why to be involved in local matters and how to see the candidates and who, like you should vote for. Like, where's the info? Like, how do you know?
Yeah,
how
who
do
are
you
they
find
getting funded from?
Exactly.
Like all the information like that.
We kind of educated a lot of people.
Yeah, it's very educational.
And ourselves, on how to handle this, because that was very crucial, that local election. It really was. Carol got in. I mean, there was so many people that needed to be elected versus re-elected.
Yeah.
In some instances. Yeah. So where I really kind of feel that we did make a little bit of an impact. So
right. Yeah, and it's funny too because like I've had a couple of people talk about like you asked some really good questions and all that stuff, and I'm like, I wasn't like being a good interviewer. I genuinely I was asking questions because I didn't know. It was almost like I was asking questions that cameras or not. I wanted to know the answers to some of these things, and so it's like I've learned so much in such a short time about the state of Florida and conservation, and even like the pros of the hunting and fishing, and like with Travis Thompson that was here, like Amendment 2, we talked about that, and like all this different stuff that like I never would have learned just by going around and Googling stuff on the internet. Like being here in the studio learned a lot, and it's like, and this is all podcasts that we filmed that other people can learn from too, and it's like, so it's weird that we weren't really sure of the direction we necessarily wanted to go from the beginning with this whole thing, other than just like anything and everything Florida. But it's like it's to the point now where we're showing people sides of Florida that you can't find on Google. You can't just find by like, how do I get involved in conservation? It's kind of like you have no idea what to click on when you're on the internet, but then these people bring this information to us. And like I've been able to latch onto it and kind of ride with it and learn so much, and it's been a really cool, experience from that perspective too. Yeah, and then we got
the guac.
Then we got this kind of stuff going on over here too. Meeting some local artists.
Yeah, we all have like everyone's artistic, like has an artsy creative side to them, and so but when people think of art, they think of actual physical paintings or sculptures, but like. On my aspect, like people are like, oh, you're an artist. Like you create video, like editing is art, filming is art. And it's like, creating videos in any shape is like art. But it's really cool talking with the guac, like just being at his house. Yeah. Like you think of an artist that creates something with their hands, and when you go to their house, you see it. Like, like you make, like your house has your art. You display your art. You build things for your house. You make things like for your house. So like going to Guac's because he does the life-size pop culture art. It's like his house is like a freaking
somehow he managed to literally climb into my childhood imagination and build everything that I would have had when I was a kid. Like every corner we turned, everywhere I looked, I geeked out. Like I was just like dopamine rush after dopamine rush. Like everything I looked at, I would look at one thing and I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And I'd look over here and I'm like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then I'm like, everywhere we looked, and it's like, he has a storefront that he's building out in his garage there. And then he had a 64 Impala lowrider, which is like, since I was a kid, been like my freaking dream car. Yeah. And then like 57 Chevy, he just sold it, which is really sad. But he, he's like he said, he's making some big moves and big changes. So he's doing it for the positive things. But it's just all the little stuff there. And then we got to film in his living room there in front of that giant wall of old boom boxes. Yeah. And then remembering like half of those boom boxes from when I was a kid, and just everything there was like childhood memory. And I don't know, it was just that was a really fun experience too, that like I never really would have thought I would ever experience either. Just the stuff that we've already been able to experience with this has been really interesting. And then Jesse.
Yeah, the Jesse thing was really cool. That was neat for him to kind of...
Yeah. That's going to be a cool thing to look back on.
Yeah, especially for him, too.
Yeah. I was like, dude, like he's like jumping into his career, and it's like in the future, like looking back, it's going to be like, that Jesse, right there up on that stage at this concert. Like, dude, he was on our freaking podcast.
Yeah, he played his song live for the first time on the show.
Like his
very first ever recorded single, performed it live for the first time here in the studio, and that's a cool thing. Like you said, someday looking back, and don't forget about us, Jesse.
We love you.
I love you. I love you, bro.
Well, you still need to come sign this guitar.
Yeah,
at some point.
Because we are going to sell it for profit.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Everything. Yeah.
So while we're talking about guac productions, holy guacamole over here.
Holy guacamole.
Let's talk about the giveaway for that guac pop that we're gonna do.
He's got a whole box of these guac pops, which are giant size replicas of obviously Blow Pops is the brand. You can tell by the coloring and everything.
Actual size.
So he sells these.
This thing is giant.
Yeah, he sells these. I don't even know. There's like a couple $100, right? So he sells this. This is art. He makes money off his art, so you can go on his website and you can purchase these items, and he'll make them, or if they're already made, he'll ship them to you. And so on the episode, we talk about we're giving this guac pop away for the most creative comment on the next piece of art for guac to create.
You guys remember those little toy horses? That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, toy horses. That's what you're doing.
I didn't have one of those.
Yeah. What's a horse?
All right, yeah, so we're going to give one of those away for the best,
most creative comment idea for a piece of artwork for him to make.
But you got to go on Guac Productions Instagram to kind of see what else he makes to give you ideas on what to comment to. You can't just say a
lollipop. Yeah, he's already made them.
And you obviously can't mention something that he's already done or something that we've mentioned in the podcast with him. We made some pretty good suggestions of some of his next projects, but he's looking for other stuff outside the box. Like say like if you were an 80s or 90s baby, or even an early 2000s baby, you say that, remember that Simon game used to push? He could make something like that life size. Let's think about something else. Think about something else that we had grip on our childhood. Like just a big ass baseball card, a Ken Griffey Jr. or something like that.
Magic 8 ball.
A Magic 8 ball.
Like a life size one.
So we want to get the best comments for his next project, and whoever likes it the most is going to win that one-of-a-kind guac pop.
He has other flavors.
He literally wants to say, it's artificially flavored. Dang.
Remember the good stuff?
Yeah.
The artificially flavored? Yeah, dude, it's so cool because there's details in all of his art. The coolest part, I said this to people, the coolest part about going to his house and his shop and his Airbnb was looking at the art that he creates like this and then seeing just little details. He literally has like things like written on stuff. So on the actual, he posted a video of the actual guac pop box, and it literally says like, these are not real lollipops, you idiots. Yeah. But it looks like until you read it, it just looks like something that's normally written. Yeah. So he has these little like hidden gems in his art.
Well, even that giant spray paint can, didn't it have like a price sticker with like another price sticker over the top of it?
Yeah,
and
it had like an old Scotty's price sticker on it. Yeah, from like old Scotty's hardware. I was thinking like an Rubik's Cube would be another cool one that he could do. Be cool. Because that's pretty nostalgic.
That's really cool.
I can solve one of those actually in less than a minute.
Really?
Yeah.
You're one of those?
I can solve one. I'm not like Asian. Really? I'm not like Asian good. But like competitive, yeah.
Did you just say a minute?
59 seconds.
Oh my gosh. I have a Rubik's Cube at home.
I got 2 at home. I could have just brought one.
We're bringing them to the podcast, and we're going to have Aaron do a freaking Rubik's Cube live.
Let's see what you got.
We'll have me and JD try to do one while he's doing it, and we'll try to have a conversation while we're Rubik's Cubing
we'll see how many times I can do it while you guys are trying to do it.
Every time, because I'm not going to be able to do it.
I can't either. I've never done one.
Yeah, I got an old YouTube video where I set my camera with a timer. And it was like 59 point something seconds that I actually did it.
That's awesome. That is,
and I know that's not like a competition fast, but like they stage those in a weird way to where there's a reason they can do them in like 3 seconds because they're like 6 moves and they're all staged the same way and they get to practice. And I don't know, it's like it's different than competition because everyone's like 59 seconds ain't nothing. That, you know, people do it in 3 seconds or whatever. And I'm like,
right.
But I'm doing it from like you scramble it while I'm not looking to like I can solve it kind of thing.
Do you guys ever watch Three Stooges?
Llama drama.
I love it comes on like AMC like
That's
in
fun.
like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning when I get up. When I get up that early, it's pretty funny.
Bonking each other. And
Oh yeah.
I think this is just how I'm going to talk from now on.
That's good. I like it.
Even when we have guests here, I'm going to be like, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
It would be fun to do like little stuff like
Get
that.
like a little
That'd be
play,
fun.
be like,
So tell me a little bit about yourself. You claim to be an environmentalist. What does that mean? You don't like oil, or what is it? Tell me a little bit about this saving the planet thing that you're into.
What does it mean you like
and they're just ass disgusted by it. Like, anyways, this guy hugs trees and.
Thank you for tuning into the FloBro Show, presented by FLOrigins.
I just wanted to say thanks everybody who watches us, who follows us, who supports us as we go. We got a lot more coming. Keep checking back.
That's a wrap.
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 Let's flow.
That's out.
This episode of the FloBro Show is brought to you by FLOrigins, Florida's most authentic lifestyle brand. Celebrate the rich culture and vibrant spirit of Florida with FLOrigins' high-quality apparel, handcrafted art, and unique accessories. Visit FLOrigins.com and use code FLOBRO, FLOBRO, for an exclusive discount. You can find the links to the FLOrigins gear we are wearing and the art on the studio wall in the description box below.